What's up everyone and welcome back to the MMA Zone. Today, let's get started with Dana White shuts down Dustin Poirier. Before it was announced that Dustin Poirier would be throwing down with Max Holloway in the final fight of his career, the former interim champion apparently tried to get Dana White to sign off on a one-night tournament that would pit him, Justin Gaethje, Dan Hooker, and Max Holloway against one another. And before we continue, make sure to leave a like on the video to help support the channel. As Poirier told Ariel Helwani on Monday's edition of the Ariel Helwani Show, however, Dana White shut it down, saying that he'd be down for a four-man tournament spread out over a few months, but no commission would sanction a one-night tournament. Me and Dana sat down in his office and talked about it, but he thought I was talking about a month's tournament where the guys fight each other and then a few months later they fight again, but I was talking about a one-night tournament, but he told me nobody would sanction that. I'd totally be down to do a 10-minute first round if they wouldn't allow one night, 5 rounds each fight. Or a one-night tournament, 3 rounds each fight. There would be too many MMA rounds in one night for a guy. I thought it'd be a cool idea. Along with announcing that he would be fighting Max Holloway for the final fight of his career, Poirier and his wife also announced some exciting news via Instagram, informing fans that they're expecting a baby this December. On the heels of the Poirier-Holloway 3 fight being announced, Chael Sonnen shared his thoughts on the fight during the latest episode of the Good Guy Bad Guy show with DC. The way he sees things, Poirier's career will be defined by this final fight. It's whatever people see last. If Adesanya and Pereira think that everybody's keeping track, no, they're not. It's whatever they saw last. Whoever whipped the other one last. If I'd had to take a guy on 5 times, I'll let him have the first 4. I can have the last one. The last one's the one that matters. With the chance for the Diamond to go out with a win in front of his hometown fans, the stage has been set for an epic send-off. Sean Brady goes off on Ian Garry. After Ian Garry's UFC win this past weekend, he made it very clear that he wants to be next for the UFC title. Well, Sean Brady isn't too happy with that because he went on the Brady Bags show and went off on Ian Garry. Here's what he had to say.
Ian did what Ian does. He touches you and runs for 3 rounds. Then he got beat up for 2 rounds and said he's getting a title shot. To say you have a performance like that, you deserve a title shot. Like, he can go weigh in and be the backup fighter all he wants. That's what means. So, yeah, like, Ian just keeps talking about him, like, taking short notice fights. Cool, bro. Like, you did 2. You lost 1 and you almost got finished in the other. That doesn't mean you deserve a title shot. Just because you're, like, what? You're going to go weigh in? You think you deserve it? Nah, bro.
With that said, the UFC rankings were updated today, and it looks like Ian Garry has moved up 1 spot and is now ranked number 6 in the welterweight division. Do you think Ian Garry deserves a title shot? Let us know down in the comments below. Arman Tsarukyan next fight revealed. Ariel Helwani broke the news of Arman Tsarukyan's next fight, but it isn't inside the UFC. According to reports, Tsarukyan will compete in a pit submission series match against Makhachev in karate combat on May 2nd. The match is probably to keep Arman active since the last time he was supposed to fight, he pulled out due to injury. Dana White releases fighters from the UFC. Ahead of this weekend's fight night card in Des Moines, the UFC has removed 2 more fighters from their active roster. According to a post from Bohachinha Depot, the UFC has parted ways with Guram Kutateladze and Kevin Jousset. Kutateladze entered the UFC as a promising contender with a record of 10-2. Since picking up a split decision victory over Mateusz Gamrot in his UFC debut, he's gone just 1-3, with his most recent loss being a decision against Caio Fernandes. In the case of Jousset, he joined the UFC back in 2023 with a record of 7-2. While he won his first 2 fights against Kiefer Crosby and Kenan Song, he then wound up getting finished by Brian Battle in September, before dropping a decision to Jonathan Mikhachev in February. Ian Garry fires back at Joaquin Buckley. Even though Joaquin Buckley is now set to fight Kamaru Usman, his sights are set on an eventual clash with Ian Garry. Leading up to Garry's short-notice fight with Carlos Prates this past weekend, Buckley called him out online before then making an appearance at the ceremonial weigh-ins, where he attempted to talk some trash to the future. Instead, Garry's wife cut him off en route to the stage, preventing him from initiating an exchange. New Mansa then alleged in a video for social media that after the moment where Garry's wife cut him off, she then made a move on him.
What up, y'all? Y'all know I had to pull up on Ian Garry at the weigh-ins for talking all that mess in this little interview. So I'll wait till he get done. I'm waiting patient. As soon as I pull up, boom, she bumped right into me. She gonna use the baby as a shield, pass him off to him. So I'm like, all right, I'll let you have that one. But as soon as I'm about to turn around, she comes over to me, caress my arm, and say, I'm gonna see you later on tonight. Girl, what the that mean? I'm trying to see him, not you.
During an appearance on the Ariel Helwani show on Monday, Garry weighed in on the situation. Desperation, that's all it is. It's sad he can't generate enough talk about himself, so he tries all this piggyback off other things. It's okay, let him be him. Despite that, Garry did say that he thinks Buckley will run through Kamaru Usman when the two fight. In the meantime, Garry's wasted no time since his big win over Carlos Prates this past weekend. After the fight, Dana White confirmed that Garry is the official backup fighter for the upcoming Belal Muhammad-Jack Della Maddalena fight on May 10th. As Garry told Ariel Helwani, he believes that being the backup fighter puts him next in line for a crack at the title. I believe I'm next. That's the way I believe it. I made sure that when I took this fight that I was given another opportunity because that's what happens when you save cards. You get opportunities. So I negotiated it into my contract that when I win, I get the opportunity to go and be the backup. But also, when you take back-to-back fights in short notice and you save the UFC in 2 cards in a row, those awards pay off. Considering Shavkat Rakhmonov is still waiting for his crack at the title, it'll be interesting to see how the UFC handles things at 170. Khabib Nurmagomedov jokes about airplane situation. Back at the beginning of the year, Khabib Nurmagomedov was kicked off a flight after refusing to give up an emergency exit row seat. At the time, the MMA community rushed to the Eagles' defense, with Dana White ripping Frontier Airlines for the way they treated the Hall of Famer. Even though it's only been a few months, it looks like Khabib's able to laugh about the situation now. In a post on his Instagram story this week, he shared a picture of himself in the emergency exit row, writing, "Why do they always put me in this place?" while tagging Dana White. As it turns out, that wasn't the only funny moment Khabib was involved in this week. On the heels of former footballer Patrice Evra announcing that he had signed with the PFL for his MMA debut, the Eagle was seen on FaceTime joking about fighting in the former Manchester United captain's honor, before saying that he'd teach Evra how to smash people. "Brother, you don't need this. If you need to fight, I'm gonna fight for you. Send me location. I'm gonna teach you how to smash people." Considering Evra's training in Dubai, expect to see some footage of the two training before the former Man United captain makes his MMA debut. UFC coach praises Islam Makhachev. Way back when Islam Makhachev joined the UFC in 2015, 5 of his 7 finishes were all by submission. Since then, however, he's evolved into one of the most well-rounded fighters in the sport, most notably becoming the first fighter in the UFC to finish Alexander Volkanovski. The way AKA coach Javier Mendez sees things, while Makhachev's ground game is incredibly dominant, he's approaching a level of well-roundedness that we've only seen from fighters like John Jones and Demetrius Mighty Mouse Johnson. During the latest episode of his Javier and Mo show, he explained why he feels like Makhachev isn't just one of the most well-rounded fighters at 155. He's one of the most well-rounded fighters in UFC history.
And I've been saying he's the most well-rounded fighter in the lightweight division. And the reason why I don't go all the time, only because of Demetrius. I think Demetrius is unbelievable. John Jones is another unbelievable, well-rounded guy. But in the lightweight division, I can easily say Islam. Yeah. But to say over everybody, nah, you know, there's 2 guys that are in contention for that title, and that is John Jones and that's Demetrius, and but having Islam in that category, it's unbelievable, because at the rate he's going, if he continues going, you know, he could very well end up becoming the GOAT.
While fight fans are eagerly awaiting news on Makhachev's next fight, reports have indicated that he's already started camp, meaning an announcement will likely be coming in the next couple of weeks. The big question, of course, is whether he'll be defending the lightweight title against Ilia Topuria, or moving up to fight for welterweight gold. Carlos Prates released a statement following UFC loss. On Saturday, Carlos Prates suffered the first loss of his UFC career at the hands of Garry. Since punching his ticket to the biggest stage in combat sports with a win on Dana White's Contender Series back in 2023, Prates had gone 4-0 inside the octagon, finishing all of his opponents in the first 2 rounds. On the heels of his decision loss to Garry in Kansas City, Prates released a statement on Instagram, reflecting on his first loss in 6 years. His post, which was originally written in Portuguese, translates to, "Guys, this is crazy. 6 years without losing. I had forgotten how much it hurts, how it hurts the heart, the soul, more than any other part of the body. All day thinking, what if I had caught the back? What if I knocked it down? What if I touched it more?" and so on. Time to go home, take care of the body, and come back stronger than every other time. Despite everything, this week was awesome. We had some awesome days, lots of lessons, and so on. I have nothing to complain about. Thanks to everyone who cheered, sent messages to my team, my crown, everyone involved in this journey. I can't wait to be back. The nightmare has just begun. Heading into the fight, Prates was ranked number 13 at welterweight, just behind Michael Morales and just ahead of Vicente Luque and Michael Venom Page. Although he came up short against Garry, who went into this fight ranked number 7, considering he nearly finished the future in the last round, it's safe to say that his stock didn't drop too much. Cory Sandhagen using AI to trash talk Deiveson Figueiredo. Ahead of his upcoming fight with Deiveson Figueiredo, Cory Sandhagen has been pumping out some funny content online. A few weeks back, the Sandman made a skit where he hired a brand manager to help him not come across as quote awkward and weird. Now, Sandhagen's enlisting the help of ChatGPT to come up with some good one-liners that he can use against Figgy ahead of the fight. During the latest installment of his Fight Week fight vlog, Sandhagen shared some of the one-liners that ChatGPT's come up with for him.
So I'm not really much of a trash talker, so I kind of need to use modern day technology in order to help me be prepared for, all of the trash talking that might go on this week. ChatGPT helps me write these. Figueiredo fights like a guy who knows his prime ended the night Moreno took his soul. Pretty mean, ChatGPT. He walks around like he's still champ, but every fight lately looks like a retirement audition. Didn't know you had to audition for retirement. His ego's still in the title picture, but his skills are stuck in the prelims. I didn't make this up, this ChatGPT saying all this mean stuff. But definitely gonna have these ready, so, just in case I gotta hit him with some one-liners. Who's smarter than the AI robots that are controlling our lives now?
Sandhagen also joked about doing stare downs with himself in the mirror and practicing his throwing skills just in case he needs to launch a water bottle or two at his opponent. With Fight Week underway, only time will tell how this one plays out on Saturday night. George St. Pierre excited to watch Islam Makhachev versus Ilia Topuria. It looks like a lot still has to fall into place before a fight between Islam Makhachev and Ilia Topuria actually happens. But it sounds like George St. Pierre is another person who's praying to the MMA gods that this fight becomes a reality. Since Topuria vacated the featherweight title earlier this year to make a run at lightweight, there's been a lot of speculation as to if and when he'll fight Islam Makhachev. But Makhachev, the champion, is not keen on the matchup because he's already defeated featherweight legend Alexander Volkanovski twice. But none of that has muzzled discussions and debates regarding how the fight would play out. For example, while talking to Bloody Elbow recently, GSP had this take on the matchup. Yeah, that's another same thing. Topuria, when he touches, it falls, and on the other side, Makhachev, he applies so much pressure. He's an elite grappler. They're both good in every way. It's a great fight for the fans. And speaking of whether the all-star matchup will become a reality, White was asked again about that following UFC Kansas City. White smirked and said, "We'll see. How confident are you that we'll see Makhachev versus Topuria in 2025? Breaking: Francis Ngannou involved in serious crash. It was reported earlier from local Cameroon outlets that former UFC star Francis Ngannou was allegedly involved in an on his motorcycle, which unfortunately resulted in a young 17-year-old woman passing away during Easter weekend. The specific details of the incident have not been revealed yet, but the young woman was transported to the hospital after the collision, which resulted in multiple fractures and the need for surgery. Unfortunately, the doctors did the best they could, and the 17-year-old woman had succumbed to her injuries from the collision. The reports are allegedly saying that Francis Ngannou did pay for all the medical expenses, but unfortunately, nothing was able to save her life. Locals in Cameroon are protesting and demanding justice for the young victim, potentially having police file charges against Francis Ngannou for the young woman. As of right now, there are only local Cameroon outlets reporting on this news, so take it with a grain of salt. But it seems to be true because Ngannou shared a picture during Easter weekend of him in Cameroon on his Instagram. Also, the residents in Yaoundé are leaving comments under that Instagram post as well. This is a tragic situation, and our hearts go out to the victim's family and Francis. He just lost his baby not long ago, and now this. It hasn't been a good last couple of years for him emotionally. We have a favor to ask. Help us reach 200,000 subscribers on MMA Zone by subscribing and turning on notifications for daily MMA content. Seriously, we rarely miss a day.